things, hate making decisions.
We're doing just fine.
If you're going to be successful, if you're going to become a better man,
you got to take care of yourself.
You know, that thing called life calls, and you've got to do something about it.
A bottle of wine, again.
There are times when you just think, fuck it, I just want to quit. Got to learn to do the exact opposite.
Starting today.
What is conversion rate optimization? It's just kind of an obsession with testing.
Start small, think big.
So that's it. Thank you and good night. This has been Take Traction. You're welcome. Have I got to speak now? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Take Traction Show. This week, we got a cool episode for you. We got an episode all on fucking e-commerce. No, quite literally, saying no to e-commerce and going for freelancing instead. And it's not necessarily instead because, as you'll see as you listen to this episode, it's more about how you can use freelancing as an amazing gateway into e-commerce or into other business ideas, into other business models. But freelancing is a massive asset that people often overlook and people try and jump straight from, you know, a big 9-to-5 job where you're working like crazy and you hardly have any free time, straight to doing like a side hustle and building something on the side. And in today's episode, we're going to show you how freelancing can be a massive stepping stone to really facilitate being able to follow your dreams and do your own thing, and how it can also be the right thing for you. It might just be that freelancing is actually better suited for you depending on your objectives. So we're going to discuss that in more detail. Now, before we go into the show, I do want to highlight a few things. First of all, we've been away for a couple of weeks. We haven't been publishing anything for the past couple of weeks because, quite frankly, things have just been absolutely crazy around here. We are launching a brand new business at the moment, of which we're going to be publishing a case study on the launch of that new business very soon, probably August, September time. We've also been working on a new podcast format. Now, this is actually, I'm recording the intro a couple of weeks after recording this podcast. Since then we have, so this is one we had in the bank, so to speak, but we have now actually changed the format of the podcast and we've moved into a more segment-based podcast. If you've been following the show, you'll know that we've been doing Oppie News, which is, we've been doing kind of every Friday, we've been releasing a news-based program in the world of e-commerce and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And we really enjoyed doing that. We really enjoyed doing the feature shows where we'd kind of pick a topic and dissect it. And so we've decided that we're going to pull those two together to create a segment show where we can where we have not just Oppie News and the feature, but also other things. We're going to be playing all sorts of fun games. We're going to be getting you, the audience, involved. We want to be publishing your stories. We want to be answering your questions, and we're going to be having lots of fun. So I've just actually finished recording the first episode for that today. We're going to be releasing that tomorrow, Friday 13th. What a fantastic day to publish a new format of a show. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. So please tune in, check it out, and give us your feedback. I always ask people for feedback, and I'm going to keep asking because it's really difficult to get feedback on podcasts. Please head over to facebook.com/take traction and leave a comment. Send us a direct message. Leave a comment on our wall, whatever. Let us know what you think of the new podcast format tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy today's show. I am burdened with really bad tonsillitis, plagued with tonsillitis, you might say, in this show. So bear with me and my strange voice. But other than that, really great topic, and I'm sure there's something you're going to get from today's show. So enjoy. All right, 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Christian Obrea, how are you doing, my friend?
All good, Charlie Santa. I know you're not feeling that good, but...
No, I'm not. I'm feeling... I think shit is a pretty reasonable word to use in this case.
All right.
Yeah, I got a bad case of tonsillitis, a very bad case, and I'm just kind of coming out of it today, I think, is the pivot point. Pretty much, I've been bedridden for the last 3 days. Just... fucking horrible. Really, really horrible. I've had tonsillitis so many times in my life, but I've only ever had it once before, like this bad. And it's really, really bad. Like, when you can take 2 paracetamol and 2 ibuprofen and it just doesn't do anything. And you're like, damn, what do I do? Man, I've been clutching at straws.
Drinking
who
cold
knows?
water.
Well, I've just flown from Mexico to Europe, and it's a long 10-hour journey. I literally hardly slept the night before leaving, and then and then it was an overnight flight, and I didn't sleep well. I didn't sleep at all on the flight. And I'd been sleeping maybe 5 to 6 hours throughout the whole week, leading up to flying this weekend. So
your immune system was...
Yeah, my defenses were low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
I hope
anyway.
you do get better.
Yes, and apart from that, I've also somehow managed to wake up at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. this morning. I went to sleep really nicely at about 11:30. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I have not been back to sleep. It's now 9 o'clock in the morning. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. I used to really struggle with insomnia, with not being able to get to sleep. And then in the mornings, I'd be like, had to have absolutely no problem getting, just like lying in and sleeping until like 10 o'clock in the morning or something. And now it's gone the complete opposite way. I can go to sleep really easily, but I wake up at crazy hours in the morning and I can't go back to sleep at that point. It's just typical fucking life.
Yeah, life hits the hardest.
Anyway, that's me. How you doing? Oh, so excuse me, people. I know I sound weird. I've got a weird closed voice and some weird sounds perhaps coming from my voice. So please excuse me.
Not really.
No?
It's that deep voice.
Oh man, it really sucks. And it hurts to talk. But anyway.
But it sounds good, so.
Good. I like that. All right, my radio voice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 105 FM.
There we go.
How you doing, buddy? What's going on with you?
Well, nothing much. I've received a message from DHL about a package.
Whoop,
I'm not
whoop.
I'm not going to get into too much details, but
I know what that one is.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. And for you guys listening to this podcast, it is related to a case study that we're building at the moment that we'll be releasing probably at some point over the next couple of months. Probably, I suppose, July, August time. We'll be publishing it out on YouTube with a little kind of build a business case study. So we're in the process of building that business right now and recording all the case studies for it. So, we'll be filling you in on all the information right there. But yeah, I also got email confirmation of that shipment this morning.
There we go. So
good stuff.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about a subject that we kind of came up with on the spot at the end of last week's podcast, which was, if I remember correctly, fuck e-commerce, try freelancing, something like that. And it is, I think it's a really important subject. And I think it's important for us to I think it's important for us to discuss this subject because we talk a lot about marketing and e-commerce. Right, everything we do is e-commerce and everything we want to do is e-commerce. But I think it's very easy to be misled. If you are new to the world of trying to build your own business, or if you're trying to break away from the 9 to 5 for the first time in your life, you can listen to other people who've had a lot of experience doing things, or who are building software companies, who are building apps, or building e-commerce companies, and it can sound very appealing. But the problem is, I honestly don't know whether it's the best place to start. And the reason is because it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of experience, usually a lot of failure. There's a lot of risk involved. There's not much financial security. And so it can cause a lot of difficulties, if it's your first time. And so that's why I think, it is important to highlight how valuable freelancing is. And you might be listening to this right now and you might be thinking, well, I have no skills that I can sell, or any services that I can provide as a freelancer. So there's no point in me listening to the rest of this podcast. Wait, there are skills that you either have or can learn very, very quickly. Believe me, and charge
is
good
the
money
exact way to go so you can learn new skills.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. So that's something we kind of touched on in last week's episode. It's a way to learn new skills. But let's kind of break it down to this. So for starters, Cristian and I have got some experience with this because we had built lots of different companies in the past and failed, essentially. We'd had successes, but eventually had been forced to close down our companies for whatever reason. And we actually both met each other at a time when we were kind of working as freelancers, and it became a really good solution, for us at the time when we were looking for things to do or new projects. Certainly at least a way to pay the bills. And it's still a fantastic way to learn how to develop your self-discipline, your self-motivation, all those kinds of things without having the massive responsibility of trying to build a massive business. And so Cristian and I actually met working in marketing, right? But there are so many different things you can do freelancing with, so many different things. So two different opportunities you've got here. You've got basically, on the one hand, you can go into something that you want to learn in order to acquire a skill so that you can apply it in your own business. So in our case, this has always been fantastic. Working in marketing, you're in digital marketing, and working with e-commerce clients allows us to basically get paid to learn. Right.
Actually, it forced us. A lot of the times we were forced to learn new skills just because the clients needed a tool, a marketing automation tool or an email marketing automation tool. Yeah. So we had to learn.
Yeah, we've used a bunch of different platforms, and even stuff like we'd suddenly have to build LinkedIn ads, and we go, well, we'd never used LinkedIn ads and we never wanted to, but now that we've got to do it for a client, we're going to learn that new skill.
And we got paid for it. So it's fun when you get paid and you do learn new things.
Exactly. And that's an amazing way to start. And let me tell you, you dear reader, the listeners here, our audience here, I had never provided any marketing services in my life before selling my services as a freelancer. I had only ever worked for myself. I'd only ever worked in my own companies. And yes, I'd been trying to run Facebook campaigns and do digital marketing for myself, but I never considered myself a digital marketer. And I just went out there on a whim and decided to, out there on a whim or out there on a limb? What's that on? How's that supposed to be said? I went out on a limb. It was a whim, but I went out on a limb. I don't know. And decided to go and try and sell myself as a digital marketer. And suddenly it worked. And I think I got my first contract within about 2 days. Really, really surprised. Of course, I created a profile on Upwork to begin with. That was the first place I began. There are many different platforms you can use out there. You've got freelancer.com for people working in kind of Latin communities. There's one called Nubello as well. I think it's nubello.com or nubello.es or something like that.
You can go on people per hour.
People per hour is a really good new one as well.
Yeah.
I think with a bit more of a focus on like digital marketing and things like that, or certainly more of a focus on digital stuff, right? It seems. I don't know. So I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, that was my point. So I had no background in marketing. And you didn't either, really, right? Before you started?
Not really. I worked I've never worked before, actually. So.
What do you mean?
No.
As in, well, you'd run your own companies, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah, of course. You mean before, I started doing freelancing? Cause I've did it, in between businesses as well.
Yeah.
To provide, some income.
So how did you first get into freelancing then?
So first time I got into it, this was my first job online. Freelancing as
really?
an SEO expert. Yeah. Well, I was not an SEO expert by any means, but I knew the basics, the basic stuff.
Yeah. And how did you know the basics?
By learning, but it intrigued me how people ranked on Google. I was so curious. How does this work? And that's how I started learning about SEO. And then I started looking for jobs.
So it wasn't
related
from
to SEO.
It wasn't from applying it to your own business.
No, it was the other way around. I started with SEO because I was interested, and I was looking for a way to make money online.
Right.
So then I got a client. I worked with the guy for 3 years or something like that. 3-4 years. And then only then I started my own business.
Right. There you go. So this is someone who has literally had no experience at all, gone and studied a few forums and learned a bit about SEO and what people say, and then gone and said, hey, I'm an SEO expert, and sold his services. Right. And how easy was it to get your first customer, your first client?
Really easy. I mean, I was working with another friend, that was, in the SEO field, and we got our first client within 1 week.
Yeah.
It was super easy, and it was a really good client. He paid on time, and we learned a lot of things regarding not only SEO, but we learned a lot of things regarding marketing, advertising. We never knew what that was and how that worked, but and we learned how people actually run a business, because we were on the inside and we saw what the guy did. How he managed to pull a team together, how his communication skills, his the way he marketed to people. He was a natural. The guy was a killer.
So this was really like you freelancing was kind of like your gateway drug into everything that you now know, all of your skills that you now have. And your business experience.
Exactly. Because every client will have something to teach you.
Yeah, definitely. And if it's not the client themselves, the actual experience, the work will teach you. So there's a lot to learn from that.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much and I think people I don't think people understand quite how much demand there is for this kind of work, right? You may think, right, well, okay, so I don't know how long ago this was, Cristian, but it's safe to say that there's a lot more competition online now for freelancers doing this kind of work, because you've got platforms like Upwork, and you've got people competing with you in India and places where they can charge lower prices and all this kind of stuff. That's safe to say it's much more saturated than it used to be. At the same time, I would also say that the demand for freelancers has grown massively over the past few years.
Exactly. I think we had this talk last time, and it's exactly that. Yeah. There's a lot of competition, but there are a lot of platforms that will help you, and there are a lot of people searching for such jobs. Yeah.
And so, excuse me, my tonsils are absolutely killing me. I think people don't realize quite how easy it is to get this work out there. And you really don't have to be the most amazing person in the world, or have the most amazing skill set in the world. But you can definitely, get started in this and start earning good money. I think my very first month of freelancing, I earned $2,000, right?
Which is really good. If you keep in mind that it was your first month, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard all sorts of things where people have said like, it's not possible to get over $2,000 on platforms like Upwork and things like that. Well,
that's not
let me tell you right now that my first month was $2,000. Since then, Cristian and I working together doing freelancing let's not be vulgar and say specific numbers, but we've gone well over $5,000 doing freelancing, let's say.
Yeah, we killed it with little to no effort, didn't we?
Yeah. And very quickly, growth can be very, very fast. And so you can work on an hourly rate, and you can start fairly low to get the ball rolling. You might want to just charge $20 an hour or something like that. I started on $18 an hour. And I landed a project with one guy who then ended up extending the project into a much bigger thing. And I gave him a fixed price, and I just worked my ass off to get that job done as quickly as possible. And that's what allowed me to earn 2,000 in my first month. So it, you know, now look, if you're living in the States and you're listening to this, then 2,000 a month may seem like a very, very shit amount of money. And the truth is it is, right? You're not going to be able to live in New York off of $2,000 a month. But it's certainly not, it is a means to an end, right? And you can begin freelancing on the side. You know, this is how we kind of came up with this topic last week. Instead of trying to keep your full-time job and have a side hustle where you're building a business on the side, start freelancing on the side and let that build up your clients and start letting that grow so that you can quit your job and focus full-time on your freelancing until you can get that to a point where it's stable enough that you can then have another side hustle, which is your new business, right? A new startup, e-commerce store or whatever you want to do. So it's adding this extra transition to the process, this full-time job to freelancer job, transition. Because what it's going to do.
Basically a learning curve.
Yeah, if you can do that, number one, you're going to be able to learn all the skills like Cristian and I were saying earlier. But number two, you're going to give yourself the freedom and the flexibility to be able to pay attention to your side hustle when you need to. Or if you've got to go and travel to China or go and meet with a supplier somewhere or go and do whatever you got to do anywhere in the world, you can do it if you're a freelancer because you don't have to be at your job 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So it gives you a lot of benefits in that sense, which is really, really powerful. Now, also, I should mention for people who maybe are a little bit scared listening to this and saying, right, okay, so sure, I'd love to learn a bunch of skills, but I'm too scared to go and like just read about something on the internet and go and try and sell my services in SEO, pretend that I'm an SEO expert and try and get a bunch of business as a result of it. Well, okay, but at the same time, there are so many different things you could learn. I've heard of many, many people going and learning video editing, for example. If you can go and learn how to edit podcast introductions or create YouTube intros for vloggers, or some kind of really niche thing like that, not just a video editor or a podcast editor, but rather a video introduction, vlog introduction creator, composer, or whatever, then that is you're going to have a lot of potential, right? And you can go and learn how to do that in about a week online, right? You can go and sign up for a Udemy course for $29 and learn everything you need to learn to be able to do that. So it's not as complicated as you think.
You can play around for another 3 weeks maybe. And yeah, you got yourself a little experience as well. So within a month, you should be able to do it and apply for a job.
100%. I mean, even just think about like the skills I've learned from just editing this podcast, right? Like I didn't have a clue about how to edit sound or audio at all before beginning with this podcast. And everything I've learned has just been from YouTube videos. I haven't even used paid courses. It's been free information that I've been able to learn from the internet. Now, I could quite easily go on Upwork and create a new profile and promote myself as a podcast editor, right? Very easily right now. I could do it. I've got Audacity, which is a free program that anyone can download for free from the internet. And I've learned all the skills from YouTube videos and the Audacity guides that they've got out there that you can just look for on Google. So if I can go and learn that skill, anyone can go and learn it. It really doesn't take much time or talent to be able to go and learn a skill like this. So there's so many different things you can do. You could build infographics for people, right? And you could even do that using a tool or something. I don't know.
There are a lot of tools that help you build infographics. So.
Exactly. You could do something like sign up for an infographic tool that they charge you, let's say $30 a month. And then you just decide that you're going to niche down on infographics and you sell your services as an infographics expert or something like that. And you go off and use this tool to create a bunch of infographics for people every month. making a lot more money than the $30 you're spending on the tool. You've got no idea how to do design or graphic design, but you're using this tool that does it all for you.
You don't need it. You don't need to know.
Exactly. You really don't. You really don't need it.
An infographic might cost $500.
Yeah. Yeah,
you might
the right
end
clients.
up charging $500 for a small infographic. A bigger one might cost even more. Who knows?
Seriously, you could easily charge that on Upwork for an infographic. I mean, a logo, you can charge at least $250, $300. So an infographic, you can be charging $500 easily. So imagine if you can get maybe, let's say 6 clients a month, and all you got to do is create 6 infographics, right? Doesn't sound too hard, especially if you're using a tool that does all the work for you. You're making $3,000 a month. Dude,
for 1 week.
What's the problem with that?
Work.
It's fucking great.
You're not even working full time. You
could probably make 2 infographics a day. And so yes, it becomes a little bit complicated because you also have, when you are freelancing, you have to spend time, you have to invest time in sourcing new clients and getting new business, and you don't get paid for that. Which is why as a freelancer, you can also have kind of higher rates than someone in a full-time job would have, because you have to include that in your rates. But yeah,
you got to include the conversations between you and the client, and that takes time, as you
got to give some free value up front. Yeah, you got to give free value up front. Do some work for free to begin with, to at least a couple of hours to get kind of in their good books, get some brownie points, and get your foot in the door. But yeah, I love that idea. I have never thought of that before. I love that idea of the infographic thing. Go and get a fucking tool. Go and pay for a tool that does the shit for you with a bunch of templates and stuff, and then sell those designs on. I mean, be careful with copyright stuff here. I don't know, but just make sure you get a plan that allows you to do whatever you want with the infographics, and job done.
It's the same with video editing. I mean, all these new cool tools help you, build a video or video clip with little to no effort. It's that simple. So many effects you can apply by a click of a button.
And you know what? If you became that infographic guy or gal, then 2 years down the line, you might say, do you know what? I think there are a lot of problems with this tool that I'm using, and it could be made better. I'm going to create the tool that I want to be using with the money that I've made from selling these infographics for the last 2 years. And you then end up becoming a software fucking company that sells amazing infographic tools. Another example, ebooks, right? I still have not found a good ebook creator online, but there are a bunch out there. And you could go and you could begin working with a bunch of ebook creators and start generating some profit, selling ebook designs for people. So they just send you like the text in Word or something, and you go and make it pretty using some ebook tool out there. And then after a while, begin to use your profits so that you can actually start building a better ebook tool.
Yep.
Ebook design tool, or whatever you want to call it. So there are so many different options. Look, we're just coming up with these right on the spot here. We haven't planned any of these at all. But there's so many different things you go out there and learn. Like introduction videos as well, or little animation videos. I think there are even tools that let you do the animation videos nowadays. I'm sure you could go and sign up to do that, like those typical ones you get on a homepage of a website, like a minute long or something. I'm sure there are a few tools that do that. A lot of
templates. That's what I was telling you about. There are a lot of templates. And it's all animated, all 3D. You just have to go in the tool and just change the text as you need.
Yeah,
need to do.
Exactly.
That's it. It's that simple. I've seen it. I've seen people working on such a tool, and it's super easy.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree. So what else could you sell, Christian? What other services could someone go and learn?
So we talked about SEO. We talked about, a blogger, a writer.
You could write copy. Which is a great skill to learn, by the way. If you don't have that skill already, go and learn how to write copy. There's so much free information on writing copy, because that's what copywriters do. They write copy on how to write copy. So there's a bunch of information out there.
It's that you learn how to write copy that sells. So sales copy. Oh, if you can do that, and you'll be able to charge. I've seen people charging at least $100 per hour. I paid $100 per hour 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
But the guy was so good. I mean, you know, it increased the conversion rate on a website.
Yeah, so it's worth it.
By 1%.
And people are willing to pay it.
So if I pay $100 and I'm making $1,000 more each month, then it was worthwhile.
And people, remember, for anyone listening to this that's not in the States, you got to remember as well that you've got these guys and the other team over here who are living in the States, who are much more accustomed to spending more money on per hour on people and having much higher salaries and things like that. So you have a great opportunity to charge to reach American clients and make a lot more money than you ever could as a freelancer within your own country, if it wasn't a digital freelancer, right? If you were just doing it like a face-to-face offline freelancer in your own country, it might be much less opportunity for you to be able to make as much money as you can through platforms like Upwork, where you can reach Australian clients or American clients or UK clients who are much more accustomed to spending a lot more money on people. There's so much potential with that. So yeah, there are a bunch of different things you can do. So many different things. And I think it's just really important to notice that it is such a good stepping stone, to help prepare you for a lot of things you're going to have to face if you ever want to build an e-commerce company, or a software company, or whatever fucking company you want to build. Through freelancing, you'll learn a lot of those skills that you're going to need. Just through the work you're doing, you'll learn a lot of the self-discipline skills, keeping yourself motivated and productive. You'll learn what it's like to have to work from home on your own every morning, what it's like to have to get yourself out of bed and start working and make sure that you get a load of shit done in the day and not procrastinating and distracting yourself and going to the fridge all the time.
This is easy. It's not. It's a struggle every day.
It's really not easy.
Make no mistake. Really it's such a struggle when you gotta kick yourself in the ass every morning, get out of bed and start doing what you have to do.
Yeah, I'll say. It can get really difficult. And so in that sense, I think, so here's the thing, right? I started maybe 4 or 5 different businesses before I went into freelancing, and I guess I learn a lot from those businesses. I learn a lot about the kind of infrastructure of a business and how to build a business and so many kind of more, let's call it, bureaucratic processes that a business has to go through. But as soon as I started freelancing, my actual applicable skills to help grow a business grew like crazy, like 10 times faster than they've been growing before. Because beforehand, it was like I was looking for stuff online to learn about how I could, to learn skills such as SEO or Facebook marketing or AdWords so that I could apply them to my own business. But there was like no real punishment if I failed, because I was never going to punish myself. And yeah, of course I suffered because I wouldn't make money. But that didn't really scare me, because it was just kind of like, I still wasn't going to get told off at the end of the day, right? I wasn't going to be punished by anyone.
It's you against you.
Yeah. And if anything, it just kind of makes you feel shit, because you're just like, you're letting yourself down. It's just like, oh, I suck. But when you're doing it for a client, the stakes feel much higher, when really it's the other way around, right? When you're doing it for yourself, the stakes are much higher because it's your own livelihood. But for some reason, when you're doing it for a client, it's like you've got this person hanging over you. And so all of those things that you learn and study and research, throughout a project that you need to learn for that project, first of all, you make sure you really thoroughly investigated and you know everything you could possibly know about a subject before you start trying to do that thing. And secondly, you make sure that you perform at the end of the day, and you make sure that you really push yourself to reach the target, reach the objectives with things in a different way. Deliver, that's the word I was looking for. In a different way. And I don't know why, but I honestly, that's been my experience. I just think you just perform in a very different way when it's under the pressure of someone else. When someone else is paying you money and their livelihood depends on you. It's like we're kind of a little bit self-destructive, I guess, in some ways, where we don't give ourselves enough credit or worry about ourselves enough. And so when we're destroying our own lives, it doesn't concern us as much. But when we're destroying someone else's life, that kind of really fucks us up. At least I think for most decent human beings out there who aren't kind of narcissistic or something. So when someone's paying you money and they expect to see results, and you know they can't afford to be spending you the money if they're not going to get results, even if it's for a podcast or a podcast introduction or any of the things we mentioned today, you feel much more pressure to perform. And that will also help you optimize your time and your performance. Go on, Cristian.
My apologies. There was a bit of interference. For some reason, I couldn't hear you. I thought you stopped. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. So what was I about to say? I gotta agree with what you said. I feel the same way. You feel shit when you disappoint a client. Shittier than if you would disappoint yourself for some reason. And it's probably whatever you said before, I couldn't hear.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, definitely. So I don't know where I was going with that either, but I think it's really important, and that kind of teaches you a lot of self-discipline. It teaches you how to work really, really productively. When you're doing things for yourself, it's like, it's so easy to watch a YouTube video on how to create a Facebook ad or something like that. And then you see another video that's like on a completely different topic, or maybe just a video about cats. And you're like, well, I'm working for myself. I can go and watch that cat video because it kind of interests me, and I'll do that. But when you're working for a client and there are deadlines, it's like, no, fuck the cat video. I've got to learn more about Facebook ads because I've got to build a really kick-ass campaign right now. And it's got to be really, really good, and it's got to deliver results.
And for some reason, if let's say in my case, I started with SEO.
Yeah.
The client would start to demand more services from you. Obviously, they will pay you more, but they want a one-man show, right? They want a person that can handle the SEO, a person that can handle the advertising, anything related to PPC. So then you gotta go and learn that. So it's a learning curve, and it comes natural for some reason.
Yeah.
That's, at least for me, it came naturally. I learned SEO, then PPC, because I was forced by the client's requests. And then all of a sudden you realize you know absolutely everything to run an e-commerce business.
Yeah, very true. Cristian, just a quick thing. Be careful hitting the table, because I know when you get excited, you hit the table and it just rings right through the microphone.
I did it again.
Exactly. So let's take an example from something we were saying before. Let's take the infographic and ebook example, right? So you can start doing infographics, and then a couple of months into your freelancing business, you can start offering ebook services, right? Ebook design services. And then I'm sure you can incorporate some of the other design service off the back of that. And so then when you've got someone who wants an ebook, you can then easily upsell them your infographic services. And that's very much how Cristian and I started. I mean, I started in, what did I do? Conversion rate optimization specialist or something like that. And since then, like, have branched into so many different skill sets. And now when we work with clients, whenever they have a new project or a new thing they want to do, they come to us first. And ask us, do we know anyone? And we say, yeah, we know people, but what is the job you need? And if we can do it and we honestly think we can do a good job with it, we'll never say so if we don't think we can do a good job. Then we'll propose ourselves for the job, and that's happened with so much business that we've had now. Like we've started with jobs for people who have published jobs, clients who have published jobs online for just, optimizing an AdWords campaign. And we've ended up working with those kinds of clients for like 5 months, 6 months in a row. Because they do the AdWords campaign. Then we go, by the way, did you know that your conversion rate on your website is really crap as well? We can help you with that, but it's going to help the performance of your AdWords campaigns. And by the way, did you know that if you did remarketing on Facebook as well, that would really help the AdWords campaigns? And if you added an abandoned cart email sequence, then that would probably really help the AdWords campaigns as well. And all this different stuff, right? And of course, we're talking about marketing here, but it could be any subject. This could be in relation to anything. It's just marketing is what we know best. So it's so easy to build out kind of a portfolio of services over time, and really not only expand your reach. I think it's important to start small, to start with like a very niche service, because it will help you stand out and it'll help you win business easier and stand out as a professional, even if you're not, as a professional within a specific area of something. And then over time you can build these services, once you really know how to kind of manage, new business acquisition and stuff like that. So that's one side of it. And then something that's really interesting that happened to Cristian and me. I'm sorry, I'm really struggling to like swallow at the moment as well. And it feels like my mouth is so small. I just feel like I constantly have the need to swallow. It's really bizarre. Anyway, so something very strange that happened to Cristian, and I was going to say Cristian and me, but it was actually really Cristian and our previous business partner, was that they were both working as freelancers, right? After having left a previous job, working elsewhere.
Previous client we worked on together, yeah.
And they were both off working as freelancers, and our other business partner, who perhaps one day will come on the podcast, I don't know, we've been in touch with him recently, he got in touch with Cristian asking for some help with a certain project. And Cristian, and correct me if I'm saying any of this wrong, Cristian, but the two of them started working together on a couple of projects, and very soon there was the need to have someone else to help with a certain area of something. And then someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else. And this thing go on.
The next thing we realized, we got to build a company.
Right. And so very quickly, this had completely unintentionally become an agency.
In 5 months or even less.
Probably less, wasn't it?
Really weird. We got so many clients and really good paying clients. I mean,
yeah,
good clients.
Oh yeah. We're talking over 10,000 per month retainers, with some clients here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really decent stuff.
So that helped us grow.
Were you incorporated in September? When did you start working on these clients?
With that big client, we started
No, with clients in general. When did you start working as like a team rather than individual freelancers?
I guess it was during summer. We had like a failed project. We didn't get the entire amount of money from the client. It was a really shit project.
Yeah.
And then we hit gold. No, we had another shittier client. So we had 2 failures before we hit the big client, the big fish.
Yeah. Yeah. But so, you're talking summer, maybe June, July, when you first started working together.
June, July.
By September, you've officially incorporated a company, and you're now an official agency, right? With a team of maybe 5 people.
Nah, I think we were 4 or 3 or 4. 4.
You had the content writer. You had
we
developer.
didn't have the content writer back then. No, we had a third associate.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Before I joined.
All right. And we had another guy that helped us with marketing and copywriting. He was basically doing small bits of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then where we grew, we were forced to find a copywriter because, we couldn't work with what we had. So
like
we
content
had to hire
for blogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to hire somebody that could write blog posts, articles for clients, and that stuff would take time. So we had to go full time with that one. And then you came along. Well, you didn't. We've lost. No, we've lost the third associate, because he was not delivering anymore. He was only traveling, which I got. I got it. I got that part, but he was just traveling, and that was it. He was not doing anything else. So, we had to make him go away, unfortunately.
To make him go away. I love the way you put things. The point being, and it may not be your intention, and you may not want this to happen, but it's also very easy to suddenly create an agency. And I would never actually recommend the agency business model to anyone because it's a fucking stressful lifestyle, very stressful work environment. And there are a lot of negatives, and we can maybe talk about that in another podcast, right? About building agencies. But the point being, with an agency, you can actually go on to make far more money than you could ever imagine you would make as a freelancer. And we had in its prime, we had kind of various clients on all a minimum or all over $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Some clients on $12,000 a month, right?
Yeah, boy.
And a team that were pretty much doing all the work for us. We were then still working like 14 hours a day in an incredibly stressful environment. Just kind of managing everything and managing the clients and all project management and all that kind of stuff. But, the point is, it's really possible to very quickly make a lot of money, through freelancing, whether the destination is an agency or not. You can still make very, very decent money.
Or an e-commerce website. It'll help.
What do you mean?
No, if you're willing to build an agency or you want to build an e-commerce business.
Yeah, well, any business for that matter.
Any business, yeah.
No, I'm just talking about the financial potential of freelancing.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you stay as a freelancer or become an agency, you'll still be able to earn decent money. And the thing is, you'll meet lots of people as well with different skill sets along the way. Throughout our kind of marketing career, I suppose, or agency time as well, we've met so many different people with different skills that we can turn to now and say, look, we need this work done. Or when clients of ours ask us, hey, do you know anyone who can do a logo for us? Yeah, of course, we got a guy. And clients love that you are someone that can always put them in contact with someone that can do the job for them. It makes, everything come through you, which gives you a lot of power, and a lot of room for leverage with your clients, right? So it's really good. I think it's a fantastic way to build a network of people with different skills to earn good money, to learn how to run a business, to learn how to be self-dependent and motivated and productive, to learn how to work from home, to learn how to manage your time, to learn how to potentially manage people if you do go into the agency model, which is a very, very necessary skill if you're going to build a company. Even if it's just managing virtual assistants in India or the Philippines or something, it's still a very, very good skill to have. You will need to have it if you're going to build a company at some point. So there are really so many positive things that can come from freelancing. Now, personally, it's not something that I want to do forever, and it was never my idea that I wanted to be a freelancer my entire life. It was very clear to me that it was just a stepping stone, right, to take me in the right direction. But it's done exactly that. It's done exactly what it needed to do, and that's why I personally feel quite passionate about the advantages or the potential for people to make a decent living and get freedom and learn a bunch of stuff without having to take on some mammoth e-commerce project that they really don't know if they're going to be good enough to be able to execute on it. So it's kind of, I just think it's a safer way to become your own boss. Basically, I think that's kind of how I'd summarize it. Freelancing is a much safer way to get freedom and skills and all that crap I've just said a million times. But more importantly, the safest way to become your own boss and make your own money for yourself. The safest way with the least risk. I think that's about it. I
think we both knew straight from the beginning that we won't be doing freelancing all our lives. That's for sure. We had we had a goal, a specific goal. We wanted to build a business, but we got to provide a monthly salary so we can and build that business.
We're not, I had a girlfriend with 2 kids at the time, right? And she wasn't earning hardly any money at the time. Christian's got a wife, right? And a house that he's been trying to build and things. So it's not like we can afford to not earn much money and just kind of work from home and earn $1,000 a month or something and just live off of that. We've needed to really earn some money and be able to save up so that we can invest in new companies and look after our loved ones and that kind of stuff. And we've been able to do it. And we've been able to do it without having a clue what we were going into when we began. We had no idea, I don't think, how the whole system was going to work. We've built so many different systems on how to create killer proposals and how to apply to jobs and basically almost always win business over competition. So many different things.
And it worked a lot of the time.
And so, it's been so many different processes that we've developed and built over the time that we've been working in this.
And we've even dropped some of the processes we've adopted in the past. Because we said, look, this is not working. This is not making us happier.
Yeah.
Or
definitely.
This is not doing what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. Big time. So with that, what I will say is, if you are interested in this, then please head over to the blog, and go to this podcast. I always say I should have the podcast list up in front of me, and I don't have it up in front of me right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up right now and I'll make myself go and find it so I can tell people exactly what podcast this one will be, when it is released. Which one were we on last week? I thought it was 17. Something.
Should be 18.
So this should be 18 as far as I can tell. But bear with me for just one moment. I've got it here. Yes, 18. I've already prepared the folder on my desktop. Fuck e-commerce, try freelancing. There it is. So head over to the blog, taketraction.com, and click on the podcast section in the header and look for podcast number 18 and leave us a comment if you're interested in this stuff and if you're interested in finding out some of those techniques. Honestly, we've got killer techniques for winning new business, things that have really, really worked for us well in the past, that we'd be more than happy to share with you. Just want to know if it's something that you're actually interested in the first place before we go and start putting stuff out there. So it'd be really cool to hear your feedback on that. So just head over to the comments on podcast number 18 over at taketraction.com and let us know whether you're interested in finding out more about how to be a killer freelancer and make good money freelancing, and how much you should be charging, and how you should be dealing with clients, how many phone calls per week you should have with clients, what pricing models you should use, should you do pay per hour, should you do monthly retainers, should you do rewards based. There are so many different things.
project. Yeah.
And believe me, we've tried them all. So if you're interested, please leave us a message. It'd be great. I think that's that. Anything else you want to add, Cristian?
That wraps it.
Let's call it a wrap for now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in as always. I've just asked you to leave a comment, but I'm going to ask one more thing of you. Could you please, pretty please, head over to iTunes and leave us a review? It would mean so much to us. It honestly would.
Please.
iTunes. See, now Cristian never says please. Of course he does, I'm joking. Or not even iTunes, it could be in Stitcher or Overcast or Spotify or whatever app you use to listen to your podcast. Just please leave us a review. It makes the world of difference to us. It helps us reach more people, and it helps people really understand what a podcast is about. So in turn, you're kind of helping us out for giving out all this free content. We hope you enjoy the content, and if you don't, then leave us a review anyway. Let us know. We want to know what your feedback is like. Tell us the good bits and the bad bits, and that way we can improve
Help us get better.
Exactly. So that's all for now from me. As always, I have been Charlie Center.
And I have been Cristiano Opera.